Mm. All right. A little early. 4 minutes early, but that's okay. I like to start a little early in case somebody shows up early and wants to join the chat. And of course, it's time for adult beverages. That one's just Coke. Come on. Hey, Desert Hobo. Yes, sir, it is. How do you like that one? That's Woodford today. Mm, good stuff. All right. Sunday at 3. So I did a poll a while back and seemed like Sunday at 3 was and by the way, can you hear me? Because I can't always tell. And last time we had trouble with this mic. So let me know if you can hear me. Ah, good. Right on. Excellent. Thank you. Mm. We'll see how many we show up. Can't talk today. And it's not the bourbon, trust me. Let's see how many we get show up here. It's technically not 3 yet. We got a few minutes, so you got me live and unfiltered now as we wait and see who's willing to pop in here and then I've got a few things I want to go over. But hey, before that, the sky's the limit. It is then too. But other than what kind of bourbon I'm drinking. Oh, good Lord! Hope everybody's doing good today. So far, I've got Desert Hobo in the chat, but I do see there are still 4 others out there watching. So say hi. Let me know you're here. Can't say hi to you if I don't know who's watching. Hmm. Woodford is good. They're busy pouring a glass. Right on. There you go. Get ready for 3. They figured out they've got a couple minutes still, so they figured what the heck, right? Go pour one. Join me. You know, I often think about about the whole bourbon 30 thing when I'm making videos, because here you are, you're making these public videos and you know, adult beverages are not always looked upon with the you know the greatest opinion, maybe I should say, or the best opinion. Yeah, you're not supposed to talk about that. I don't know. I don't really care, to be honest with you. But I do sometimes think about that. On that first live I did, where I was sitting there drinking some Old Forester and laughing about it, and and in my videos, the funny thing is that's come about over a fairly long period of time. This whole bourbon 30 thing, and I honestly I can't even tell you I remember where it started, but it's just sort of morphed into this fun thing, right? And I have friends that don't drink, um, and that's okay. I don't drink that much, actually. You might think that I do with all this bourbon 30 talk, but for me, usually it's 1 or 2 in the evening, and that's it. But it is kind of funny, because I think if you watch my channel, you might think otherwise. Oh Lord, how do you like that new? It's been a long day bourbon mug, or in this case, Coke mug. Mm. I actually really like those. I'd like them to make a smaller one, but they haven't done that yet. So yes, moderation in all things except sawdust. I would agree. I'm not making sawdust right now. I'm actually trying to get the mill sorted out and wait out the weather, because the weather's getting ugly. So we're at 3 o'clock. I think I'll give it just a little more. See who shows up, and hopefully we get a few folks. Honestly, these lives, I sometimes wonder. I put out polls and say, who wants to do a live, and it seems like a fair amount of people would like to. I did see one of the guys that is a sub that's been here a long time, who's over on MeWe, the Arrowhead Carpenter. He's working today, and he said that he may not be able to get in and watch, but he was going to try. So we'll see if he joins us. But usually there's several people that usually join, and the funny thing is I've always done these on Fridays, usually spur of the moment, and I decided to do it on Sunday afternoons because of the poll that you probably did. And so many people thought that Sunday afternoon, Sunday evening was the best time to do it. And so I decided, okay, what the hell, I'll do that, right? So, but now it's just you and I, Desert Hobo. What's your actual name? Sometimes I don't, all I see is nicknames or YouTube handles, and I never actually get somebody's name. And it'd be kind of nice to know some of you folks that actually are here a lot. So if you don't mind sharing your name, let me know what it is. Craig's buddy is Dean. All right, Dean, nice to see you. Elliot. Okay, Elliot. Cool, very cool. Well, I got two of you, and you know what? I said 3 o'clock. It's a couple minutes after. We had five here, and I started talking about bourbon, and they all left. Has winter finally set in out your way? Winter has come and almost gone at this point. So I've learned so much from you. Thanks. Hey, Craig. You know what? Thank you. Thanks for watching. I appreciate that. Or Dean, actually, it's Dean, not Craig. I see Craig's buddy on the screen, and so it's going to make me think Craig, but Dean. And you might have to tell us what that Craig's buddy is all about. Desert Hobo, I kind of got you figured out. I'm thinking you're down somewhere in Arizona or California. I'm just thinking that, though, honestly, you could be my neighbor because I live in the desert too. So, but anyway, all right. First of all, has winter finally set in? Winter set in about 2 months ago, and we got some really cold weather. Now I have to tell you, I live in the high desert in eastern Washington, and we only get like 7 or 8 inches of rain a year. So, you know, 300 days of sunshine, it seems like, right? But this winter, we did get about 6 inches of snow, which isn't a lot for us, and we can get more than that. It stuck around a little while, not very long, which is normal. We get these big Chinook winds that bring in the hot air coming over the mountains, wipes out all the snow, and we go back to 40 and 50-degree weather. And it looks like this week that's what we're going to do. So winter might even be over already. But let's see, happened when I signed up for a comedy person on YouTube and can't find out how to change it. Oh, well, I did say you can ask me anything. So I will tell you, if you go to youtube.com and you're logged in and you click on your name in the upper right hand corner, you can go into settings for your channel, and in there you can actually change the name of your channel. So this channel used to be called just Eric McVeigh. And after years of using Old Jarhead as a forum name online, I decided, you know what, you use Old Jarhead all the time. Anybody on Forestry Forum or the Cabin Forum I go to, or all these other places, they know me that way. So that's why I changed it. But yeah, just go there. Hey, look at that. See, you got something totally non-relating to sawmilling here. All right, we got 7 folks. Folks, drop a comment down in there so I know you're here. And I love to have you. Thank you. I'm going to get started. And I did have a few things that I wanted to mention today and talk about a little bit today. But if you have any questions, and I'm an open book, folks. So whether it's sawmilling, YouTube, doesn't matter. Stuff here, where I live, whatever, doesn't matter. Happy to tell you. So ask away. But the first thing I wanted to tell you, I probably should pour a drink for this, but I wanted to ask, have you ever put something somewhere that you thought, I'm not going to forget this. I'm going to put this over here. I'm not going to forget. I'm going to remember where it is, and I'm not going to lose it. You ever done that? Well, about 2 months ago, I got one of the components for my laser for the sawmill. And I see a question or two there. Don't worry, I'll get to that. But so I was down in the shop working on the laser setup today, and I got the main bracket installed, and I went to try to figure out how to put the laser bracket itself on, and I couldn't figure it out. And then I realized, wait, I had this other part. Well, I must have started looking for it around 11 o'clock, maybe earlier, 10 maybe. I could not find it. I'm telling you, it was driving me nuts. And then we're back in the shop, and oh look, there's a box that says Wood Miser on it. And what do you know? Inside the box happens to be that dang part I was looking for. So anyway, I thought I would share that with you. Just sometimes you want to pull your hair out and say, "What the heck am I doing?" And I'm trying to make a video. So so picture this: you're you're working on a video. You've got the cameras set up. You got lights turned on. You're trying to do an install video on how to install a laser, which is the second time you started the video because the first time you never got it done because you had to find something. So you're working on the video and you can't find a part. 4 hours you can't find it. And then you find it sitting on a stool in your reloading shop that you put it there so you couldn't possibly lose it. Oh, I didn't lose it. I found it. It just took 6 hours. So anyway, all right. I did have a question, so let me answer that. What blade do I use the most, and do you buy them from Wood Miser? First of all, I buy all my bands from Wood Miser. Wood Miser does not sponsor me, so I don't get a dime from Wood Miser. So if you think I've been using Wood Misers a long time, I've probably sold a lot of Wood Miser sawmills, but they don't sponsor me. They have they did give my wife a very very nice kind of jacket last year. It was kind of a whim thing. It was really nice. She just really loved this jacket, and I couldn't find it online to buy it for her. And Wood Miser did give it to her, so that was really nice. But Wood Miser doesn't sponsor me. They haven't given me anything else. Um, so, with that being said, I buy my bands from Wood Miser, and I am switching to 7 degree bands. I've got 10 degree bands, 9 degree bands, 7 degree standard bands, 739s, which is the Turbo 7, 747s, and 4 degree bands. So I got them all. And on the 26.5 horse LT40, which is what I run, I find that any 7 degree band is about the sweet spot, period. I don't care if it's a standard 7, 739, or 747. They all cut better than 9s and 10s. 4s actually seem to cut flatter on wide cut. So if I'm milling 20, 21, 22, 26, 27 inches, I'd rather be milling with 4 degree bands. They appear, because if you, I don't know if you guys have milled really wide stuff, but when you really push the limits of your mill on width, and hey, Alyssa, nice to see you there. Doing good, by the way. So cheers. But when you're really running a wide cut, I find that even with your drive belt tight, your band tension at 3,000 pounds, everything is right. Band is new, you name it. 10 degree bands tend to rise in the center. So if you ever cut wide and you put a 2 foot carpenter square on that cant after you've made that, say a 26-inch wide cut. And yes, folks, on a mill designed to cut 24 inches, I can cut 27 and a half. I can cut darn near 28 inches. Tricks to it, and it's tough and it's hard to do, but you can do it. But when you do that, you put that 2 foot carpenter square on there, and it'll rock. And the deflection of the band in the center may be just slight. It could be, a 16th of an inch. And that's enough, frankly, to make it's just not flat. Put a 4 degree band on, nice sharp 4 degree band, especially an inch and a half, it's going to be flat. So think about 4 degree bands. When they go dull, and they go dull fast. So 7s, I find I can push them a little bit, get through the log, life is good. 4s, when I start pushing them, they seem to dull fast. And Magic Man over on Forestry Forum warned me about that. He's been milling for 22 years, I think now. He's in the 2 million plus board foot club. And he warned me about that, and he's right. So I have, I think, 15 4-degree bands. I really like them on wide cuts, but you got to pay attention. You also got to mill a little slower with them. They're not going to mill it as quite as fast a rate of speed. So you got to pay attention to that. Sevens are a little faster. They seem to like you to push it. 739s especially seem to like being pushed. So do the 747s. The only thing about 747s and 739s is that I find the 747s do move a lot of sawdust. And if on these LT40s, when you're really moving sawdust, big wide cuts, you're pushing it hard, especially in the dry stuff, so the sawdust is finer. It hit, instead of all going down out the sawdust chute, it tends to kind of spread and hit all around where that guide wheel is and the flat spots under the mill right there. And of course, what does that mean? It means it's coming right at you. And so those 747s put out so much, but if your sawdust chute plugs up or you're in dry wood, you're going to eat more sawdust. So I'm not convinced 747s are better than 739s. I actually think 739 may be the better band, and I really need to get more of both, put them side by side on some big dry black locust, and then we'll find out, because big dry locust is tough, period. So, all right, hopefully that answered your question. But right now, I'll tell you, if I was starting out new mill or I wanted to look at other bands, I wouldn't look at a 10-degree band or a 9-degree band. I don't care what kind, except for one. There's one 10-degree band that I do have, will keep, and will use well into the future, and that's the bimetal. The bimetal bands are different. Even though it's a 10-degree band, same gullet and everything as a standard double hard, that bimetal band will cut hard knots. By the way, it was a one of my subscribers that asked me to try that. He was right. They do cut big, huge knots better than the double hards do. And they were made for dry beams, burned logs, that kind of thing. They're very good for that. So I do have 10-degree bimetals. All of my double hard 10-degree bands, Wood Miser is under the instructions to remove them all. So when I send in my bands on Resharp, Wood Miser inspects them. Any band that is getting cracked, getting too sharpened too many times, whatever, they know to replace those with 1.5-inch 7-degree bands. And that's another one. If you're not running 1.5-inch bands and you got an LT40, try it. Trust me on this. Get away from 1.25 inches. Frankly, to me, had I known what I know today, it doesn't, well, let's see, I got my LT40 7 years ago, so I'll cut myself some slack. But if I'd have known this 7 years ago, I never would have bought 1.25-inch bands. 1.5 inches cut flatter, period. They don't cut as many waves. They cut flatter. They last longer. Better bands. So, all right. Let's see. What do we got here? I did see, what blade do I use? Okay, I answered that one. Bimetal is completely different animal. Yes, absolutely. I agree. So I did want to throw a couple shout outs. They're not here right now. They might pop in at some point. Last time I did a live, Nathan from Out of the Woods popped in, threw up a $5 super chat, and then left. And he threw up something saying, "Hey, I was busy. I got to go." So I wanted to give a shout out because I was just surprised by it, and he was gone before I got a chance to say thanks, really. So Nathan, if you're watching this now, I haven't forgotten. Thank you. I appreciate that. As well as Jimmy. So one of my subscribers, Jimmy, put out a super thanks on one video ago, I think it was. And so thank you, Jimmy. Just wanted to call you out for that. Guys, I got to tell you, YouTube pays me like $2 or $3 a day. That's it. So when one of you does that, it is really nice. I appreciate it. I'm going to call you out and say thank you. So appreciate that. All right. Where are we at? Will a 1.5 work on the LT35? Let's see. Let me go back one step here. 1.5 cut just as fast as 125. 1.5s will cut faster than 125s because you can push them harder, go faster through the log, and you won't get the waves that you're going to get on 125 if you push it up harder. So I've been really impressed. And you don't have to change the guide wheels out. Some guys are going to tell you got to change them. You got to do some kind of alignment stuff. No, you don't. Here's the funny thing. I ended up somehow accidentally with an inch and a half, 10-degree double hard years ago. And it was in my rotation. It's still in my rotation, right? 7, 6, 7, 5, whatever years later, I'm still rotating that band in and out. And so I'll be running, inch and a quarters because that's all, understand. I have like 75 bands. So if I run out of sevens and fours, I'm into tens. And my sevens and fours are off to wood miser getting resharpened. And all I've got is tens left. Okay. So, oh, wow. Thank you. Awesome. So, Craig's buddy Daniel, right? If I got that right, if I didn't, smack me around. Awesome. Thank you for that super chat. I got to tell you, that's awesome. Thank you. So, and don't forget to ask questions. So back to 1.25s and one. So anyway, I had this 125. Dean, thank you. I'm going to write that down right here, Dean. I'm bad with names unless I write them down and then I remember them. So I got you covered. 125. So I had this inch and a half, 10-degree band. Just it's always there. I rotate it in, rotate it out constantly. No change on the mill whatsoever. So, but one band is not enough to tell the difference. And eventually, after a lot of chatter with other guys that run LT40s and 50s on Forestry Forum, and you hear me talk about that all the time. If you haven't gone over there, I encourage you to. It's like Sawmill School 101. But in fact, it's the reason I do these videos. I learned so much from those guys, and I go out, I beat myself up in the woods, and I go back and try to find out from them what I did wrong. So, and that's why I show it to you, right? If you ever want to know squirrel, right? But if you ever want to know why, I will show you my mistakes when I'm milling. It's because I'm not perfect, guys, and nobody is, right? We all can make mistakes, and I'd rather show you when I make a mistake in hopes that when I point it out and explain what I did, that you will see that and go, you know what? He did it. It's okay. We'll figure it out. So anyway, inch and a half. I had that one. I finally ordered 10 747s an inch and a half after talking to Wood Miser about it. And they said, no, you don't need to change anything. You're fine. Just run them. Now, you can get benefit from going to the bigger guide wheels for the inch and a half, but you can't run inch and a quarters on those. So as long as you got inch and a quarters, you got to keep the smaller guide wheels. So what I'm doing is, as my inch and a quarter bands wear out, Wood Miser will replace those automatically with inch and a halves. And that's one thing. I'm not here to plug Wood Miser, Resharp, guys. Again, they don't sponsor me, but I will tell you, I use Resharp for a reason. Number one, I don't have to do it. When I get home at the end of the day, I've been out milling 200 miles from home. I drive all the way back here, and I gotta clean everything up, and I'm done for the day. I don't want to go out into the shop and pull out my resharpener and spend hours resetting and sharpening bands. Instead, I box them up and send them off. And Wood Miser, I talked to their guy personally, and you can too, right? You could talk to Chad or whoever is the guy in your area, and they put notes in my account that says, for Eric's bands, any band that has to be replaced, change it to an inch and a half. If we've got sevens, go 7. If we don't have sevens, go bimetal 10s. And if we don't have bimetal 10s or sevens, go 4s. And if we don't have 4s, I'll take a 10 if that's all you got. But as I said earlier, I'm getting rid of all my 10s except for the bimetals. So there you go. All right. I'm still looking to see what kind of questions. LT35 again. I don't think so. I had this conversation with Jason over at Northwest Sawyer. I don't think the LT35. I don't think you could put the inch and a halves on it. And if you can't, that's interesting, and I need to find that out. And the reason is, and I got something to tell you about LT35s too. So stick around for this. You're going to want to hear this. But I need to find out about LT35s and inch and a halves, because there's a thread on Forestry Forum, at least a couple, about whether to buy LT35 or LT40. And I've also seen it on Facebook. And if you see my posts, I'm always going to say, buy an LT40, right? To me, they're just bigger, stronger, heavier built, better mills. It's not that the LT35 is not a good mill. It's a great mill. But if you're going to beat the crap out of your mill like I do, and put thousands upon tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of board feet of lumber through it, I think the LT40 is more built for that purpose than the LT35. So, but I'm going to have to find out from Wood-Mizer about the LT35 and 1.5 inch bands. I don't see why you couldn't, but I need to find out, because maybe the covers are not in the same place. Maybe there's something different about it. Um, so anyway, if anybody else has heard, drop it in the comments below in the chat. Let me know. But I will definitely try to find that out for you. Now, another thing on the LT35. So if you got an LT35, let me know in the comments. It looks like Alyssa does. And by the way, Alyssa, that can't be your real name. I was doing something the other day, looking up subs for something. I don't remember. And I kept seeing your name in that picture thinking, gosh, that sounds familiar. And then I found out Alyssa Zanmungo is a performer, a singer. I don't think you're that singer. So anyway, just saying. But LT35. So if you got an LT35, drop it in the comment section in the chat here. Let me know. On the LT35, I learned this recently. There is no solenoid in the LT35 that will stop the hydraulics from working if the key's off and you've left the head over the power bar. So the power bar is that first 4 feet of copper bar on the mill, right? And if your LT35 head is contacting that bar, or you've got an older LT40, that would be older than mine, pre-2000s, at least 2002, 2003 LT40s, you got to watch this. You can actually run the hydraulics off the battery without the key. And according to Wood-Mizer, this has been a way that people have stolen mills. So if you have an LT35 and you're worried about losing your mill, number one thing, do not leave the head over the hydraulics box contacting the power contact. Leave it down the other end. Put it all the way down the far end. That way, at least, and frankly, if it were me, I'd put it all the way down the far end and I would drop it right on the deck. That way, for someone to steal it, they've got to somehow get it up, and I'd lift the forks up too. They'd have to get it up, get it past the forks, get it all the way back down to the power bar. Then they could operate the hydraulics. So just know that that is an issue. The LT40s and above have, I guess, a solenoid or something in there so that the hydraulics will not work unless you turn the ignition on. Now, look, they could take a screwdriver and pull the panel off, probably, and hotwire it, I guess. But there was an LT40 stolen here in the Tri-Cities, I think about a year or so ago. And I thought, really? Who the heck steals a sawmill out of somebody's yard? But it always makes me leery when I leave my sawmill sitting in my driveway. So let's see, LT40 wide, struggling to turn Y logs 30 plus. Seems like, okay, I got an answer for you. So Dean, here you go. Your super chat. Thank you. It's gonna pay for itself right now. So here's the trick. Do you have a magic hook? Because if you don't, you'll want to make one. And there's a video out on my channel. Go look for it. Search for magic, moving logs with magic. So what you do is you take a cant hook or a PV hook, pull it off the PV, of course, or you can buy it from Logrite. And guys, not sponsored by Logrite. They just make the best cant hooks out there. I mean, I'd love to be sponsored by them, but I'm not. But they make good stuff. Now, my magic hook made by PV. Why? Because at the time, that's where I found it. So, but you can get them from Logrite too. All you do is you get the hook, the actual cant hook. I got to check the time, and I forgot my premiere. I was going to reset the premiere. So my premiere's running already, and I'm not on it. Dang it. Oh, well, hold on, folks. Let me see if I can fix that real quick, because I want to tell you about this, and I think I goofed. It's funny. I was going to set that premiere up, and it's already been viewed. So, oh, well, we'll get to it. Okay, I'm going to have to cut this off so I can get over on the premiere. But let's talk quickly about this magic hook. So what you've got to do on big wide logs, you get this the PV or cant hook, just the hook, and attach that to a chain, okay? And you really want like a choker chain, and you put it on one end of the choker chain. The other end have that small hook on the choker chain that you can wrap onto the chain. Take that, and from the left side of the mill, the side support side of the mill, wrap that up and hook it on the log and pull that chain all the way out under the log, and then wrap it around the log clamp. Now, what you want to do with the log clamp, don't wrap it around the chrome pistons. You don't want to do that. So get it on the clamp itself, and be careful about that. You want to make sure it's on the clamp, and then get it nice and tight, okay? When you go to use your log turner and roll the log with that claw log turner, as you try to roll it, run that log clamp out, and then you can't do it at the same time unless you got super hydraulic. Even then, I don't know if you can. But what you're going to do is you can put up pressure on that log turner, and then start running that log clamp out. What it'll do is it'll grab that chain, and it'll start to rotate the log, and then you can push with the clamp, or with the turner, and then pull with the clamp and push and pull like that, right? And you can roll it over using a magic hook. So magic hooks are not just to pull the log down the deck in one direction or the other using the side supports. They're also used for rolling logs. So anyway, folks, we've got the premiere going on right now. I was going to change the time and run it at 3:30. I forgot. So it's running right now, and I'm not even in there. It's already run. So hopefully you'll jump over and watch that one. It's the start of the next series, the Bobcat Trail series. So let's go over and watch that. Thanks again for being on live with me today. A lot of fun. Let's jump over and watch that other video. Thanks for watching, folks. And it's Bourbon 30.